Today we are talking about the coordinate plane. The coordinate plane is a giant graph that has different points on it. For example, all points are x and y. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean every point can be determined by labeling it along its x-axis and labeling it along the y-axis. So coordinates are graphed on this coordinate plane. Each coordinate plane has different quadrants. So if we look here, if the x is positive and the y is positive, then it goes along the first quadrant. Okay? If the x is negative and the y is positive, then it goes in quadrant 2. If the x is negative and the y is negative, it's in quadrant 3. And if the x is positive while the y is negative, it's in quadrant 4. So take a look at this. What I mean by that is if I had a point right here, this would be the point 1, 3. Both the x, 1, and the y, 3, are positives. Okay, so the way that I like to remember it is if it's above the x-axis, then my y's are positive. If it's below the x-axis, then my y's are negative. I like to think of this as like sea level, okay, or my neutral. If it's to the right of the y-axis, then my x's are positive, just like on your number line. Because right here, this is called the point of origin, which is 0, okay? And if it's to the left of the origin, then it's negative. I want you to write that word down, origin, and label it 0, 0. So if I have this point right here, it's 1, 3, so both are positive. If I mirror that on the opposite side, notice that the only thing that changes is the sign of my x value. So -1 is my new x and 3 is my y. If I mirror that one down here, both the x and the y are negative. And if I mirror this one down here, the x is still positive, but the y is negative. I want you to take a piece of graph paper and draw this. Make sure that you have this in your video notes. Okay, so now let's practice locating some points. We've got A, B, I'm missing a C, D, E, and F. Okay, I'm going to label right here C. Okay, so I also want to know what C is. Where are the points located, and how far away from the x-axis and the y-axis are they? Okay, so let's look at A first. A is located at 2, 7. So I go over 2 on the x-axis and up 7 on the y-axis. This is in quadrant 1. So if I want to know how far away it is from the y-axis, it's 2 away from the y-axis. How far away is it from the x-axis? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 away from the x-axis. Let's look at B. B is at, okay, walk along the horizon first. Walk along the x-axis. B is at -4, and on the y-axis it's at 6. So how far away is he from the y-axis? He is 4 away from the y. And how far away is he from the x-axis? He is 6 away from the x-axis. Go ahead and try C, D, E, and F for me, and I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. Okay, so let's look at the points first. C is at 0, 0, so it's no distance away from the x and the y-axis. D is at -3, -3 on the x-axis and on the y. So it's 3 away from both. 3 away from the x-axis and 3 away from the y-axis. E is at 0 on the x-axis, but up 2 on the y-axis. So E is 2 away from the x-axis and 0 away from the y. F is at positive 7 on the x-axis, negative 5 on the y-axis. So he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away from the x and 7 away from the y, because if I look here, do you notice that this is a common trend that's happening? 3 away from both, 3, 3. 2 away from the x-axis when the y is 2, 0 away from the y-axis when the x is 0. 5 away from the x-axis when the y is negative 5, 7 away from the y-axis when it's positive 7. It's the absolute value of the opposite. So make sure you take good notes because this is definitely on your test, and I will see you next time.